Good evening, IL family, and welcome back to your Inclination Life broadcast here with Coach Timiel / Lady Timiel, where we talk about positive living via simple truths. I want to welcome you guys back into another discussion. And before I forget, just want to say happy Veterans Day to all of the veterans. Thank you for your service. I know you probably have heard that all day long, but it never hurts to hear it again for you guys standing in the gap. And so on tonight, we're going to be talking about something that came about because if you haven't already seen my post, because of the glasses that I am wearing on today. And so our conversation is really about a question: shift or stay? Now that's a question for you to answer: to shift or to stay. And so this morning, this process actually started yesterday. Yesterday I noticed, and it may have even started Saturday, because Saturday I noticed that, my contacts was giving me a little bit of a fit, and usually I can take them out and I can change them and I can do those things and I'll be okay. And so Sunday, I decided to just put in a brand new fresh pair. I said, well, maybe these have dried out. I need to just put in a fresh pair and I'll be okay. But I put them in and it still wasn't working well. And so all day Sunday, some of my tears I associated with just worship in church. But I found out that after the worship, I still was draining. Like there still was, wetness coming out of my eyes. And it was unstoppable. Like no matter how much I dried and I patted, it just was not unstoppable. And it went all day long. And so finally, last night at some point, I said, you know what? I'm going to give my eyes a break. And I generally do that anyway, but my eyes will let me know. And so I'm going to give my eyes a break and I'm going to wear my glasses. And I usually don't like to do that for that long, but the irritation was to the degree that I needed to. So when I put on my glasses today and I took my, little selfie to post this morning, it made me think about it. It made me reflect on and I've been wearing glasses now for years, but it made me reflect on when, as an adult, I finally gave in and I stopped fighting to the necessity for me to wear glasses, because I fought it. I fought it because I felt like it would change my appearance. I fought it because it wasn't like it is now where, it's cool. People that don't even wear glasses want to wear glasses. It was like, that was the last thing you wanted to do, especially if you were a person that wasn't into glasses or whatever. And so I fought it and I fought it and I fought it. And I always often tell the joke about how I really gave in when I finally realized that I had to just stop fighting, was when I would be driving at night and I would be all the way up on a street before I even could read the sign. And so that didn't work at night. And so I finally gave in and I finally got something. And I always tell the story about when I stepped out, the day that I stepped out of the doctor's office. When I first went in the doctor's office, my first request was for contacts. And he was like, no, you're not going to get contacts yet. You got to get adjusted to wearing glasses. So you're going to have to wear these for about a year. And then we'll visit you wearing contacts. And I was like, oh my God. And so, but when I stepped outside with my glasses on for the very first time, the first thing that I noticed was the crispness of the trees. I use that word because I don't have a better word to describe the architecture of the trees and how defined they were, and how I had never paid attention to how defined they were, because I knew they were trees, but I just could not see them in that detail. And to this day, that's like one of the first things that I'll look at when I go outside is the detail. And so it made me think about this conversation about shifting or staying, because the thing about it is sometimes we're at a place in our life where we've been going about with something, and because maybe we don't want to change something, because we're comfortable in a place, because we have all of these preconceived thoughts about what making that change or doing something different will bring about in our lives, we stay in a place when, if we would just take the shift, it would take us to a different place. If we would just stop fighting the necessity or fighting what it was that we needed to do, that it would take us to the place that we want in life. I know for me, I'm in a place, especially as we approach 2020, where I'm expecting some things in life, and I've been I'm believing God for some things. But one of the things that God keeps giving back to me is that you can believe me for things, you can expect some things, but if you do nothing, if your faith doesn't cause you to do anything, you're just going to still be stuck in that place of believing me to do something, believing that something is going to happen, believing something is going to take place. And that's why that question is there on tonight: shift or stay. You've got to make that decision on tonight, whether you're going to shift shift or whether you're going to stay. And so I put here, just in our 2020 preparations, what we've got to look at. Sometimes we're often missing it because we have so many things in our thoughts. We have so many things in our faith process, but we're not moving towards it. Even though we sometimes tell ourselves, I'm moving towards it by faith. I'm believing it by faith, God. I'm gonna do this thing. But there's nothing. But when you really step back and examine your life, you're not doing anything. There's nothing in you. There's no action. There's nothing that you can place your hands on that would say you're shifting. Even if it's just in your mindset, there's nothing that is shifting that is causing something to change. And so I put here, are you going to shift or are you going to stay? So for you next year, or even as this next season of your life comes up, you may be looking for a total shift. You may be looking to shift from something so great from where you are now. You may be like, God, I am ready for my next. I am ready to do something that I've never done before. I am ready to stop talking about a thing and I'm ready to live this thing out. I'm ready to take that leap, God. That might be you on the night. You might be ready for that total shift, which takes you from one place to the next. And then this may be in your mindset. You may be one of these people that you just need to shift your mindset. It may not be that you have stinking thinking on tonight. It may not be that you don't think positive, or you don't are not encouraging to yourself in your mindset. But the thing about it is you're stuck in your head. I meet so many people that they have such beautiful dreams. They have such beautiful vision, and they even can articulate it in speech. But the thing about it is it's stuck right there. It's stuck in their head. It's stuck in them telling people, but there's nothing manifesting itself in the earth because they're not doing anything. They're not moving towards it. They're not shifting. They're not doing anything different to get another result out of their life. Not to say that what they're doing right now is bad. It's just that there comes a time where you got to shift. It's just like my eyesight. It's not that I could not see. It's not that I could not function. But when I gave in and stopped fighting the shift that needed to take place with me putting on eyeglasses, that I didn't realize the next level that was going to be able to take me to. I didn't realize in the long term what that was going to do for my eyesight as a whole by me not straining and pulling on something that it worked for a point in time, but it was no longer working. And that's where some of us are on tonight. We're using things, and it's not that what we're using is not the tools that we have or what we're in our comfort zones. It's not that it's not a good place or it's not working for us. But the problem is that we have not trusted God to go to the next level in our lives, in the next arsenal of our tools that we may not be as comfortable using, in the places that we have not stepped into, to be able to experience what it would be like in that place and on that level. And so your shift, if you are looking for a total shift, it may be in your mind. It may be in your occupation. It's never too late. We were talking about that. I can't remember who I was talking to and what it was around, but it's never too late to trust God to shift. And there was a post that I read one time, and it was talking about all of the people that when you look at their lives, they became these great successes later on in their life. One that sticks out was like Martha Stewart. I forgot how old she was, but a lot of these people were in their 40s and their 50s. And the thing about it is sometimes I find that when we get past a certain point in our lives, when we get to, that 40, that 50 range or whatever, we kind of fall back into that category where we're sitting and we're doing a lot of talking and we're doing a lot of thinking and a lot of, God, I want to do this. But we somehow lost the courage to get up and take the leap. And so I just want to encourage us, like, it's never too late to take the leap. Somebody may want to change their residence or just totally change something in their life. It's never too late for that. And then I put here, do that thing that causes a chain reaction. You got to do something to get a different result. But what you've got to do, my prayer is that we would be so intentional with what it is that we approach as we go into this next year, that it would cause a chain reaction in our lives. So how sometimes you feel like you're stuck in a place or you're going in circles and nothing's shifting and you're trying to figure it out. I pray that we would get to the point that we would do that thing, that it would open up the door to the chain reaction where we would no longer, I don't want us to do a thing and then just enter back into a circle. I want us to do a thing that will cause a domino effect in our lives where we'll move from this level to the next level to the next level, whatever that looks like for us and God, because we were willing to take the leap. We were willing to do something different because we chose to shift. And not only did we say, Lord, I believe you, not only did we open our mouths, but we put some action to it. We came out of our comfort zones and did something different. I put here, take ownership. It's time for us to take ownership. If you're deciding to shift, you've got to take ownership. You got to, there's a hashtag that I use all the time, and it's called hashtag own the outcome. You got to own the outcome. You've got something to do in this thing, and that's the way that you're going to shift. I put here, I wanted to entitle this something different on the night, but I didn't want to offend anybody. But I wanted to put in here, grow up. One of the things that I find in life, and this parallels to this topic a lot, is I kind of think about generations, and I think about how, as I look at the world today, as I stand back and I look, sometimes I am amazed that generations don't want to grow up and live according to their generations. So sometimes we are in a different place in our life, but we're still stuck in yesteryear, and we don't want to shift to where we are now. So the older still want to be like the younger. We got to get out the way and let them be the younger. The middle age doesn't want to be the middle age. That I know we say it. 40 is the new 30 and 50 is the new 40 and all those things. And it's great to feel great in your mind, and it's great to always have that energy and that zeal. But please get out the way for the next generation. Walk in the place that you are in life. That doesn't mean you're old. That doesn't mean you're decrepit. That doesn't mean you're going to do anything. But I think it causes us not to rise to a place of maturing that we need is going to be required to get us to the next step, because we're so busy holding on to yesteryear instead of moving forward and allowing that next generation to grow in place. If we hold that place, it prevents them from coming. It prevents them from shifting, because we're so busy holding that place. And I say we on tonight. It may not be you, but I like to be inclusive so no one feels like they're picked out. But if you're stuck in yesteryear, move out the way so that next generation, that next group can come in and take the space where you are, and you can go ahead and shift to the next place that God has for you on tonight. I put here, get up, grow up, stop blaming others. These are the things that we cannot do in this season if we are going to shift. We got to get up and do something. We got to grow up. We got to continue to mature, and we got to stop making excuses. We got to stop blaming others for what we're not doing, for where we're not at. I think that's an easy scapegoat, but you know what? Fight for it. Like if you feel like something is standing in your way right now, with the help of God, fight for what it is that you're believing God for in this season for your life. And now I always say that doesn't take bad attitudes. That doesn't take being derogatory, but it means fight for it. It means be so focused that people can see it, that they know that you're not playing in this season. You're not just talking. You're not just not saying a thing. You're not just shouting over things, but you have intense focus that is going to produce an outcome on that thing. And then the last thing I put in this category, I say, if you're going to stay, accept that and work it out. So that's the question on the night. Are you going to shift or are you going to stay? If you're going to stay where you at, accept that on tonight. Don't keep talking. Don't keep wasting your energy. Don't keep wasting your resources. Don't keep wasting your research time. Don't keep wasting attending a seminar for something that you're not going to actually carry out or whatever. Don't do that. Work it out where you are. Be the best that you are. If you're going to stay in the place that you are, work it out and be the best you that you can be. Excel in that place that you are. But if you're going to shift, it's going to require something that is very, very different on tonight. And so the first question that I put here, one of the first things that I always ask my coaching clients when they enter into my program, whether they do the group program or whether they do the individual, I say, are you ready? And the reason why I ask that is because if you come in there with the, I think I am, I don't know, then you're not, then I'm like, don't waste your time, your energy, your finances. Don't do that. Are you ready? For those of you that are deciding you're going to shift, that is your question on tonight. Are you ready? If you said, you know what, I'm in the category where I'm going to shift. Now ask yourself, am I ready? Am I ready to do what it takes to shift? Am I ready to shift out of my mindset? If God says I need to change my mindset, am I ready to shift into a whole different place. If God says, hey, I need you to relocate, and it may not be in region, it may just be in your occupation, it may just be relocate, do something different in your home. I always tell people, I say, sometimes even in your, like, for those of you that have home offices or places where your creative happens, sometimes you got to go in there and just redecorate that thing, rearrange it. You don't have to buy anything new. Just rearrange that space where it puts such a newness on it that it makes you think differently. Because when we keep going into the same setting over and over, we get used to it, we get redundant. But when you do something like you shift things around, it brings something, it sparks something in you that has not been there before. So for some of you, it just needs to be rearrange that space in your house where it is that you're going to produce the thing that it is that God's got for you. Rearrange. If I don't know if you got a work truck on tonight, I don't know if you got an outside office that you do, but do something that causes you to think different, that reminds you that you're doing something different in this season. And then I put here, have you reached capacity? That's a question for you on tonight. Have you reached your capacity? I was talking to some people about this, I think just yesterday. Have you reached your capacity? Now, we all got a capacity, but do you believe that you've reached your capacity? Do you believe that God's gotten everything out of you that he's placed on the inside of you? Because if that's you, then you need to stay. But if you don't believe that, then you need to shift. You need to be prepared to shift, and not only prepared, but you need to be willing to get up and go and shift. And I put here some questions underneath that. Is that all you've got? That's a question you ask yourself. Is it all I have? What I'm giving out, is that all that I've got? Or can I push the pedal just a little bit more and get something else even out of myself? Are you all you will be? Are you all that you're ever going to be? Do you believe that you're at such a place in your life on tonight that you're all that you will ever be, that this is it? This is all that the world is going to get, is what you are today. If you're not, then you are definitely a candidate to shift on tonight. And then I put, what are you waiting on? What are you waiting on? What is it? What is that thing that's holding you up on tonight? Is it your lack of focus? Is it the fact that you're saying I got faith, but yet your faith is not showing it because you're not leaping and you're not jumping out there and you're not doing something different? What is it on tonight that is holding you up? Is it you? Now, if it's anybody else, you got to remove them, because remember I said early, take excuse off the door. Stop blaming other people. But what is it on the inside of you that's holding you back? See, I know it's not anything of God that's holding you back. So it's got to be something that's in you. It's got to be something in that fleshly side of you. Is it fear? Is it pride standing in the way? Is it fear of failure? Is it the fact that you're trusting in yourself more than you're trusting in your ability in God? What is it on tonight that's holding you back? What are you waiting for on tonight? What else do you have to wait for? Are you going to let another year go by where you just talk about a thing, where you just think on a thing? Or are you going to allow those things to come out and be manifested in this world, not just for you, but that it will bless somebody else? And so the last thing I put here, I said it is decision day. And I put an example, me and the many thoughts in my head. And so I'm just a personal testimony on tonight. I have a vision board, and I have all kinds of things around me to constantly remind me of the things that God has given me, has placed on the inside of me, the things I aspire. Some things I have no clue how I'm gonna do, but some things I do know how to do. And I've been twirling things around in my head, but I've been twirling things so much in this last season that I'm really not getting anything done, because they're just twirling in my head. I just keep going from one to the other. Well, God, I'll do this. Well, God, I'll do this. Well, God, I'll do that. And so I not only am I talking to you on the night, but I'm talking to myself. It's decision day. It's time to stop twirling ideas around in our minds. And it's time to begin to put a plan on paper and actually begin to walk towards it. Not, oh, I'll do something in 6 months. What can you start doing today that will begin that shift in your life that will cause a domino effect? And then I put here, action will give you answer, because sometimes we're still, we pause because we're playing with if I do this, now I'm playing out all the scenarios of what could go wrong, what could not work. But a lot of times I was playing with a decision in my mind, and I said, God, I'm gonna make a phone call, because this phone call is going to determine whether I need to play around with this thought process or not. And I made the phone call, and I got a concrete response and an answer. And I said, okay, God, I know what to do in this situation. But if I had kept sitting there playing around with it and toying around with it, I would have been spending mind space, mind time, days just toying around. Should I, should not, this and that, when all I had to do was walk towards it, because sometimes just trying it will give me an answer that maybe now is not the time. Maybe that way is not going to work. Maybe I need to try it differently. It may open a door to a conversation. It may open the door to another idea. So sometimes just trying it, just stepping out there and doing something will make a difference. So on tonight, I'm asking you, are you going to shift or are you going to stay? When I shifted and I gave in to something that I was fighting really for silly reasons, it changed my life. Now, these glasses is something simple, but they are a message that I use over and over again about how I was missing out on something greater because I was okay with seeing minimally, not clearly seeing the vision, and we can parallel this all over to the spiritual side, but not clearly seeing the vision, not seeing all that I could see, not seeing as far as I could see. Why? Because I was complacent with where I was, but when I gave in and I surrendered, then my vision got so much better. Then I could see so much further. I could see what was up ahead. I could plan. It took, the capacity out. I can drive, long distances and at places, and I'm not concerned because I can see. And so even in our lives, when we parallel that to the spiritual, when we give in and we put on whatever those eyeglasses is in faith, they may not be necessarily eyeglasses, but we open ourselves up to so many things. We open ourselves up to see what's further ahead, because sometimes the very thing that's blocking us, that one little thing that's blocking us right now from taking the leap, it's not only blocking us from taking the next step, but it's blocking your vision from seeing all that's up ahead, to seeing all that's what's in your next, to seeing all that's what's on that next level of you shifting. So I just want to encourage you on tonight, for those of you that are ready to shift, that you can do this thing, that I need you to address whatever the excuses are. I need you to lay them at the altar before God. I need you to believe God in this season for yourself. I need you to get it out of your head and and it's okay to begin to speak that thing, but I need you to put action in place and begin to do the work. Are you ready to shift, or are you going to stay where you are? And like I said, if you're going to stay, make sure you excel where you are. I hope that this conversation has been encouraging to you on tonight, and that you will come back with me next week as we have another conversation about positive living via simple truths. Have a good night, everybody. Thank you for tuning in.